Hey folks, Brian got a Elderath campaign session review to share. So we are back at Hamlet, and guards from Rufus come and they're looking for Raymond, but Raymond's not at the church. So they grab, who was it? Tyndall. Grabbed Tyndall and said, instead, and say, get your folks, come meet Rufus to the tower. At the same relative time, a guard shows up at the inn and grabs Runt and says, "You're to come with me, meet with Rufus now." So they pull him off. So when the rest of us get to the tower, Runt's already there. Rufus comes down and he says that some lumber workers have gone missing, and he would like for us to investigate that for him. So we agree. We start to take off and realize we don't know where we're supposed to go. So some quick back and forth. We can bother Rufus. I'll just ask the guard, hey, where are these lumber camps? And the guard says, hey, the foreman out back, he'll be able to tell you where they need to go. And so we go and we get with the foreman. And we tell him, hey, Rufus wants to investigate these missing workers. What camp are they from? How do we get there? He goes, don't worry about it. Timing is perfect. I've got a wagon taking supplies and stuff out there right now. You can hitch a ride with them. So we grab our stuff, hitch a ride with the wagon, get to the lumber camp. When we get to the lumber camp, we ask the driver, okay, who's in charge here? And he points off to one of the a crane, to pull lumber and put it onto a wagon kind of thing. So we go over and we talk with the local area head guy. He says, yeah, I was expecting them back a few days ago, and we haven't even heard nothing from them. And they went off, that way, southeast, across that glade over there. So we get our stuff together, head across the glade, make some, search tracking rolls kind of thing. We find their trail and we're following them out. And as we notice as we're going along that, there's a lot of good timber out here that we're just bypassing. Where do these guys think they're going? And as we're traveling along, every once in a while we're on a hill and we can see over, and we can see some of the swamp on occasion. Sometimes we can see the streams or the river that feeds into the swamp. We're getting close to not good territory here. And we're heading towards the mountains. And if you can remember back a few sessions, we were south of Hamlet investigating a caravan that went missing. And we ran into an ambush with the goblins there, and we went investigating, and we saw troops with torches moving down from the mountains into the hills. And from where we are now, north of that point, hey, we're heading towards where all those troops were going, goblins and orcs and such. But as we're traveling along, going, okay, it's going to get dark soon. We should really make camp, and we haven't run into any camp that they've made. So we find a spot, make camp, set up watches. I think it was a second watch, and it was Alvis and Runt were on watch at that time. The rest of us were asleep when they made some perception type rolls, and okay, they're hearing something's out there, and one of them sees the fire glinting off the eyes of some creature out there, right, a wolf or something. And so they go and investigate, sneak on out there, and they hear a twang. No, they let us know. I think it was a Runt. We make camp. Hey guys, there's some creatures out here, a wolf or something. We need to go investigate. And it goes out there. So a couple of us, Tindo and Wes, wake up. Maybe the twang did happen first. Anyway, there's twang, right? Arrows. Somebody got shot in the gut. In fact, I think it was Runt. Got shot in the gut. and goes down. It was a special 11 points of damage in the abdomen. Not good. Wes, when he woke up, saw what was going on, went up, 9 degrees kind of thing, get your back to a tree kind of thing, and evaluate what's really going on here. And at that point, I think it was Albus that got in the gut, and it was Runt that moved up to attack. It had to be Albus went up to attack. I'm not watching my nose too well. Albus went up to attack, and while he's moving up, I do a sudden light on the wolf area that I can kind of see, and it does like a forced stun kind of thing. This bright light. Well, when this bright light flashes, Albus can see, there's a goblin on top of this huge wolf-like creature, and we're all thinking warg, or we're all thinking dire wolf. And the goblin didn't make his save, but the wolf did, and the wolf kind of backs out of the light. And we all move to engage. Tindo does some healing on Albus with the arrow in his gut. Ends up fumbling his first aid roll I think it was first aid roll to pull the arrow out, so he does more damage to him. So he has to do a bunch of magic healing to him, and then everybody's coming together now. We're all trying to track out where this wolf is. Then we go out a few rounds, and we've lost it. We have no idea where he went or where he was going, for that matter. But this was a huge. His claws were like bear claws, more like a warg from Lord of the Rings movies. So we get back to camp. The rest of the night goes by without any incident. Next morning, we get up, follow the trail that the woodsmen, the lumber workers, I wouldn't call them lumberjacks, but these guys are out there, the wagon, following the wagon. And we get to the wagon. It's been demolished. It's at a makeshift campsite where they had set up a winch of sorts to move lumber, and there's some lumber in the back of the wagon, but there are no bodies. There is no gear, nothing of value here. So we do some searching, and I believe it was Raymond found a hidden compartment either under the seat or in the back of the wagon, shifting some boards around, and sure enough, there's this little compartment, and inside is a bag of silver pieces. And these silver coins are marked with the symbol of that town. It's not Marduk. That's a different campaign. Oh, shoot. Minot, there we go. City-state Minot, which is off to the east, which is a bad place. Now, also, in the subterranean castle passages that we investigated earlier by the moat house, underneath and outside the moat house, one of the spots we found was an underground river with an actual dock, and there were crates there that had been destroyed. But these crates were also marked with the symbol of Minot. So there's some stuff, I believe, shady stuff going on. So now grab the silver, and we're looking around for goblin and warg tracks. And sure enough, we find them, so we start following them out. And these tracks are heading into the foothills of the mountains. And we know it's a bad omen, because we start talking at this point, hey, remember, this is where we saw the trail of troops coming down kind of thing. This is not going to be a very good place. So we need to be very careful. So we start disguising our tracks. And we head off one way, looking for like a cave or a crevice where we can make camp, and we can make a lean-to across the fire, help disguise it so it's not visible at night, that kind of thing. And sure enough, find a place. We set up camp. Night goes by uneventful, although somebody had heard movement out in the hills outside of our camp. Next morning we go out and look, sure enough, warg prints. And we follow the warg prints back, and they had followed the trail that we were on. They had bypassed where we were in our camp, something like that. So we get back on the trail, following the trail into the foothills of the mountains, and come up to a cliff face with some trees, and the trail goes right between those two trees. So we go in there, sure enough, there's a cave. So we light a torch, we light a lantern, and we start shuffling into this cave. And we come into a sort of what turns out to be an intersection. At the time, it just was bigger than what our light would illuminate. And twang, 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 3 arrows come flying down at us. A couple people make their perception rolls, and Raymond actually can see a figure to the left of us, up high, like there's an upper entrance cave into this area. And the other shots came from ahead of us to the right, kind of thing. At this point, Runt was to the left, and he's going, I'm getting out of here. We're kind of in an intersection, and we're getting crossfire. In fact, we get a set of shots at us while we're deciding what to do, kind of thing. And Runt kind of freezes, I'm getting out of here. Raymond pulls his, well, not Raymond, Renault, Alexander pulls his bow, and he's going to shoot that guy up there that he saw. Wes is going to dart across the feature. Oh, Raymond threw his torch. That's what he did. He threw his torch, which hit a far side, so you can kind of see we're kind of like a Y intersection. And Wes is booking for that torch to get his back up against the wall so he can see the guy in the upper area to our right, so he can do some magic shooting, that kind of thing. Firing shock bolts, overpowered shock bolts. I'm not sure how effective those are, especially when I start comparing it to that stupid sleep spell. It seems so pretty powerful. I just don't get any joy out of it. We'll have to figure something out. I got to figure ways to get a power versus power roll on some of these guys. Most of it's like control creature. Why do I want to control creature when I just put them all to sleep? It's that kind of thing. But so he's doing that. Alvis moves forward to engage what turns out to be a couple of goblin archers on a small rise, 6-foot rise. I think it's not necessarily so small, really. 6-foot rise where they're shooting at us from there. And then Raymond and Alvis move up to cast some magic. One is a protection spell with a radius, so a lot of us are caught in it. And the other doesn't come until later because 2 more goblins come moving up on us, swordsmen. And he casts Calm Spirits on those guys. One of them succumbs, the other doesn't. So Alvis is fighting first one of the goblin archers, takes his leg down. Alexander, in trying to shoot the guy up, most of the guy's body's covered by the edge of the cliff, so he can't really. He does make an aim shot on the first round and does some decent damage to the guy. Wes does a sudden light on him, which stuns him, thankfully. And then Alexander turns and tries to shoot one of the goblin archers again with his rise. He's further back. I can't hit, so he changes weapons and moves up to engage the goblin on the ground with the sword. So 1 archer down, 1 archer stunned, another archer up. 2 goblins, one's calm, and the other's fighting. Wes does a series of overcharged shock bolts. Eventually puts the guy in the upper cave down. All during this time, Runt is trying to climb the cliff face. It's a 10-foot cliff face to get to the top to get to that guy. He finally gets up there when he gets hit with the last shock bolt, puts him down. So he turns and is looking out. At this point, there's Alvis and Alexander fighting the one goblin. They pretty much chew him up. So there's the 1 archer left. And Wes comes around the corner, what can I do next kind of thing. And Runt gets a chance to show off his special skill. He's got a dagger quick draw skill. And so if he makes his quick draw skill roll, it only takes 1 strike rank to ready a weapon instead of the normal 5. He makes like 3 in a row. 1, 2, 3 at this goblin archer. And the third one was actually a critical success to the head. Puts him out. And at that point, we've got the Calm Spirits Goblin. What do we do with him? I don't remember now. Wrong glasses. I think that's it. Oh, one interesting point. Alexander had gotten shot while he was in the cave entrance. Took his abdomen, I think it was, down to 1 point. He gets hit 2 more times, just brings 2 of his limbs down to 1 point. So he's got 3 locations with only 1 hit point left in him. That was pretty wild. After 3 individual hits, too. Oh. That is where we ended the combat. We actually ran a little late. Again, the whole thing's in the live play is in the description. We did have like 3 different breaks, 2 of which I forgot to pause the video on, so there'll be this dead space in there you can fast forward through if you're into watching that kind of stuff. But we did run late. It was getting towards 12:30, and I normally call it midnight for me and my purposes. But we were in the middle of combat, and I didn't think it was good. I was wondering how long it was going to take us to finish these last few goblins. But then, the last 3 went down pretty quick. So we're pushing like 12:30, almost 1 o'clock. We were pushing 1 o'clock at this point with the end of the combat. And so that's where we ended combat. So it should be, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 dead goblins and 1 with Calm Spirits. So I could be wrong about that Calm Spirits guy. It may have run out. Oh, it did run out. That's right. The Calm Spirits ran out at the same time the stun did. But they ended up making quick mincemeat of him as well. So we're in a goblin cavern with a fairly decent guard post here. So the question is, how many more goblins are there? And how many of them are ready for us? Happy gaming.